Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Professor Sides, and this course is Principles of Microeconomics. We are still in Chapter 1, 10 Principles of Economics. In this lecture, we will conclude the conversation with the last three principles, and we will talk about the last three principles, which will discuss how the economy as a whole works. This concept 8, concept 9, and concept 10 are more thoroughly explained in macroeconomics and not necessarily microeconomics, but it's important to know that the more we work, the better we are able to, the more we work, the more we produce, the better we're able to produce, the better our lifestyle. You can look around and look at those you know who work versus those who don't. You can look at the United States. U.S. workers are reported to be the most productive workers, primarily because they work longer hours, they work more days, and as a result, appears to be one of the wealthier nations. There are some nations that are more wealthy than the United States because of other factors, but if we look strictly at production, what you'll see is that there's this correlation, causation, that the more you work, the more you produce, the higher your standard of living is. And in macro, we will discuss this in more detail in chapters 10, 11, and 12. And again, we're talking about productivity. Chapter 9 is another macro principle. This would be covered in chapters 16 and 17, but it deals with government's interaction with our economy, and how it interacts, how it directly or indirectly interacts, and then the side effects or the externalities of the intervention, specifically with Principle 9, when it prints money, the externality or the consequence. And then in Principle 10, this is also again a macro concept. We would discuss this in chapter 22. What's important here is the concept of short run versus long run. In the short run, whatever your variables are, you'll notice that short run variables are fixed, whereas long run variables are variable or flexible. In this instance, we're talking about the trade-off between inflation and unemployment. That idea, that concept is that if inflation is high, unemployment usually is low, and vice versa. You have the opportunity to watch this play out in real world examples, specifically here in the U.S. with the succession of the new chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank, Janet Yellen. She is quoted as having made a comment about inflation is too low and unemployment is too high, and so she was expounding on what her focus will be. And we would talk again more about this in macroeconomics, but again, I wanted to introduce that this is a 10th principle of economics in general, but I wanted to introduce to you the idea, the thought, the concept of short run versus long run. This concludes the chapter 1 lecture. There is an additional segment of this lecture that I am going to encourage you all to listen to. And again, thank you, and I will look forward to speaking to you again soon.